back, everyone, to a brand new Getting Color right here on thebigvitobrand.com. Also, check out patreon.com/BigVMafia. I am Virtue from Ohio, and that is Big Vito LaGrasso, currently somewhere down in Florida.
What's going on, guys? That's right. A day of the gym, pool, jacuzzi, some softball, football. Antonio Brown having an outbreak. That was
He's done.
something.
He's out of the NFL now. No one's going to sign him.
Now, all I know is watching the game, watching everything, Jets cruising along. The coach made the biggest mistake. Tom Brady is notorious for 1-minute drives and winning. Coach goes to go for it. They lose. He makes a mistake. They lose. Antonio Brown flipping off the world. And from what I understand, the coach asked him to go in.
Didn't Buccaneers come back and win today?
Yeah, the Bucs won.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what spurred this? The guy was 50 yards away from 300,000. He was 8 catches away for another 300,000. And what was the other one? He had another incentive.
Well, and he had a few it's not like they weren't throwing to him that game because he had targets. Yeah. I wonder if he flipped out thinking they were sabotaging him because they didn't want him to get those milestones. The guy's got mental problems, Vito, and
But he was 50 yards away on one of them. He was 8 catches away from the other one. And I don't know what the last one was.
Maybe he'll show up a couple of years from now in the XFL if that ever gets going again. Because he is done in the NFL.
I got to tell you something. When he is probably hands down one of the best 3 receivers in football.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
He is. And I don't know when he went loco, but something happened. He's bipolar. Something's going on up here. Concussion, CTE?
Could be, but I'm thinking, okay, he had this outbreak, but things are crazy in the NFL. I'm thinking somebody will sign him for the playoffs. Like
never say never, but
right, but he didn't break any rules.
That's true.
So there's no NFL punishment. Threw his gear off, walked off. He didn't cause a commotion. He didn't make a scene. He didn't need police escort. He just said that, waved, and took off. He just said, I'm done.
Which, again, it just shows unprofessionalism, though. Don't you just, bite your tongue and do it in a different way? That's why I don't think anyone's going to sign him.
I bet you, I'm thinking the Green Bay Packers will do anything to beat Tom Brady.
Well, I never say never. I get that. But, man, I was shocked when I saw that today, which, by the way, so I won one fantasy football championship.
Right.
I finished runner-up in another league, and then in another league, it goes through one more week, but I pretty much locked it up. It's a different scoring format. So, Vito, 2 fantasy football championships this year and a runner-up, which is all money. I made more than I put in.
What is your coup? $1,000?
Probably everything added up, not quite, but it'll be like $750. I was probably maybe 200 in to all my leagues.
So that's good. So you got some fun bucks.
Yep.
Right. You got some good meals coming.
Yep. So plenty of gift cards, and hope you enjoy Olive Garden. And by the way, we got to talk about some wrestling. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go ahead, man.
Let's talk about this first. The Tony Kahn and Big Swole drama.
Right.
So Big Swole's contract expired, and she kind of came out and seemed like she got a little disgruntled. And remember, AEW is this great place to work, blah, 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 blah. And I said at some point, like all workplaces, there's going to be people that aren't happy. Brian Cage seems like maybe something there is happening. He might be gone at some point. I really haven't seen him much. But Big Swole is no longer with the company and basically was kind of calling them out as not being diverse, right? And she didn't say any specifics on it. She just said that, right? Whether you do that or not, I don't know. But Tony Khan is the owner of the company. came back on Twitter and got like defensive about it. And it's so weird to see like he's acting like a fan on the internet when he's the owner of this wrestling company. Like, wouldn't you just say, that Big Swole's entitled to her opinion? I disagree with it. I think we're doing things diverse and we have great plans for the future of AEW, blah, 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 blah. But what is your take on how Tony Khan handled that? And boom, all these wrestlers were getting upset. Then some of them came back and kind of stepped back a little bit, which who knows, after Tony Khan might have talked to him in private, what happened there. Vito, there's some drama going on over here in AEW.
Well, hasn't Tony Khan acted this way from day one?
And it's over like this eccentric, defensive, no criticism way. Yes. Like,
yes. Okay.
And I'm not going to say anything about the race stuff, but just in general, yes, he's acted like this insecure guy.
Right. Okay. Now, no place is a bed of roses, and the grass is never greener on the other side. Right. So, with this person coming out and saying something negative about AEW, it's the same thing that Brian Cage's wife said. Reba Hardy came out and said negative things. There have been other accusations. Andrade has been unhappy. Miro has been unhappy. Right? So, are things the happiest over there at AEW? No. Has it been publicized too much? I don't think so. But Tony Khan has been too much in the social media, so everybody sees what's going on. It's very transparent. And there's nothing wrong with defending your company, but I think you do it behind closed doors and let your publication company speak for you or your press guys. I just think, his approach is hands-on every aspect and have his fingers all over it. Sink or swim, it's his baby. And he's going to do or die with this. So, I mean, it's his way or the highway. And right now, he's doing it his way.
And he's he reminds me of the way Dave Meltzer is defensive about his opinion, his Wrestling Observer, his newsletter. It's it's very similar, even though they're.
I get you. Now, let's talk about Dave Meltzer for a minute. And we're not burying Dave Meltzer at all.
I was just pointing out.
We're just giving an opinion here, right?
And they're allegedly good buddies, so maybe they're rubbing off on one another.
All right. Dave Meltzer has been around for 30 years. Plus, about Louisville actor, right? So you talk about longevity in the business. Now, over the past 5 years or so, let's say 5 years, Dave Meltzer has publicated maybe not accurate wrestling journalism or fabricated the truth, and a numerous amount of wrestlers have called him out on the lies, right? And he comes back and he says his piece, and he's defending his journalism. So how do you take Dave Meltzer? Now, would you say Dave Meltzer is 100% on the money? No. But people like to read his stuff. Kudos to him. He's doing a good job. He's been in business for 30 years. But he defends his journalism and says it's accurate, it's on the ball, and people keep paying to see it.
That's true.
So, I mean, when you call Dave Meltzer out and, I think he had something with Seth Rollins and a few other people. I mentioned Seth Rollins because I think that's the most prominent one that I remember. And there have been others, but Seth Rollins for one. And he was pretty accurate saying, you don't know shit about my life or what I'm doing. And what are you supposed to do? Got somebody in the chat. Good to see you live, Vito. Thank you very much, T. Zeke. But Tony Khan's taking the same approach, David. It's just like you. Yep. Okay, let's talk about you for a second. Okay? Let's talk about you and what you do. When you did your column and you wrote your column, there were people who were bravado about it and people who said, it's full of shit. When you do your stuff on Twitter and you go after the fans and you like to banter back and forth with the people in no DQ and stuff,
Yep.
but you defend your knowledge of wrestling and you like to be on point, but you defend it and you say, I want to slay be a troll slayer and do all this stuff. You've taken a step back from that.
Yes. Yeah.
And you take
unless it's somebody coming at
Right.
me just like absolutely rude, but I'm actually just kind of blocking them and moving on because there's just no need for that.
But from what I see of Virtue, I see somebody maturing and growing from that, because if you want to be taken seriously, okay, you don't answer to the small potatoes. You always go above and do prestigious things, do big things, handle yourself like a gentleman.
Yep.
There have been people who've been talking shit about me for years. I can care less. There have been people who said, I'm going to friggin' smack the shit and beat the shit out of Vito LaGrasso. And well, it's 30 years. I'm still here.
Dude, I've always taken the 2-for-1 approach. For the one person that comes at me and hates me, for every one person,
Right.
I will get 2 off of that. I will get 2 to like me and just to see the way and think with me like I think, right? And that's a 2 to 1.
That's
So
the way you think.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the way I think, does it really matter? They're going to be, and I've been in the limelight for 30 years, and you say, okay, I never gave a shit what people said about me because I'm going to live my life. They don't put food on my table. They don't pay my bills. They're not in my everyday life. They're just people who have an opinion. And like, what is opinion? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got them, right? So does it matter in your life? I don't care. You take what we do here. There are some people who actually enjoy what we talk about and the way we handle ourselves.
Mhm.
And there are some people who disagree with a lot of things we say, but I don't see that much. I really don't ever see anybody say anything about us, There's a thing about what about Leo Rush's comments? What did Leo Rush say?
Well, he ended up he went off on Twitter and couldn't believe Tony Khan put that tweet out. He kind of since came back and said he talked with Tony behind closed doors so we could understand. Yeah, you know what it was. Tony Khan probably got with him and gave him some promises and stuff. And I'm sure he apologized, right? I'm not saying Tony didn't apologize, but again, being off the cuff like that, he would, there were wrestlers, workers that were getting upset with how Tony Khan had handled it. Leo Rush was right in the center of that the other night when that tweet got posted.
Now, isn't it funny how all the guys, now I'm not saying anything about Leo Rush in particular. He just got there and already he's speaking. Billy Gunn didn't say anything. Jericho didn't say anything.
Nope. Well, they would be good enough to do it behind closed doors, if at all.
Yep. It says here the podcast is Bubba approved. I have no idea what that is. But anyway, what I'm saying is the prominent guys in the wrestling business didn't really come out and say anything. But the smaller wrestlers who maybe not be as prominent all had something to say. These guys are lucky to have jobs in this company. Sometimes you're better off just like, shh, quiet, keep your job, no problem. But some people will learn that.
Well, we'll move on, Vito, because we got bigger things to worry about than Tony Khan's Twitter drama. Let's talk about Goldberg. He's got one more match on his contract or whatever.
Right.
Obviously, I think it probably extended beyond 2021 because it's probably a contract of so many matches, and the pandemic kind of made things stretched out a little bit. So if this is his last match, the one more left he has, and you can never say never. They got a Saudi Arabia show coming up in February. There's WrestleMania coming up after that. Who's ideal for Goldberg's last match in WWE? Just your opinion.
Brock Lesnar. Without a doubt, so? Brock Lesnar. Without a doubt, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the only one who's going to be able to pull it out for him.
Well, remember, they had their feud, and Vince McMahon was going to do Brock and Roman going into that pandemic WrestleMania at the Performance Center, Roman went home. Vince McMahon, I just feel Vince always tries to deliver, even if it's later down the road. Right. So I have to say, okay, Lesnar, I would agree with you. I would throw Reigns in that mix too, which ironically, this is going to segue to our double main event about those two for discussion this evening. But right. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'll throw Roman in the mix.
Roman is just, because there's no history between them, and because, there was going to be a match.
Well, they had Goldberg beat Fiend in Saudi Arabia to win the title.
I remember.
That was going to be WrestleMania.
But it's just like so many other guys. How many people didn't? Now let's talk about Hulk Hogan. How many people didn't Hulk Hogan want to wrestle with in his heyday? You know what I mean? And like when Hulk Hogan, was with NWO, and then all of a sudden you started to put over different wrestlers at the end of his career. And then the most notable was The Rock, when I think if it was a different time, I definitely think that Hulk Hogan could have beat The Rock and had another 2-year run. And The Rock could have came on 2 years later and beat Hogan.
Another one, Riddle, Goldberg. I mean, I know because of, how what Riddle said, and The Office heard it.
But Riddle also spoke out of turn, and he got yelled at when he called Reigns a nobody, and he could beat him up, and he's and he knocked the heavyweight champion.
But yet he's still right there with Randy Orton. I know tag team wrestling is not what it used to be in WWE. They still have the titles. I'm telling you, my gut feeling says, even though he's outspoken, and that's not necessarily good with the boys, he's popping Vince McMahon because he's got his spot through all that allegation stuff he went on with that mistress. He's still, it's a mid card, but he's still, I don't know, man. Vince McMahon is weird with the way he likes certain wrestlers. Roman Reigns is one of them. It's just, he's a weird guy. So I just tend to go on his track record.
I get you. Is his thought in the chat, what are thoughts on Cesaro never getting a good push? Cesaro's had his chances, and it just, for some reason or another, he just doesn't have the it factor, fellas. Just, get with that. He's had opportunities. He's been a champion. He's just not a main eventer.
Him and Sheamus had a good run as a team. That's probably the most notable that I can think of with Cesaro. And he has good matches,
Yeah, he has good match. You know who Sheamus and Cesaro remind me of? Billy and Chuck. They had a great run together. They just meshed.
Yeah.
And then after their run, you've never seen them together again.
That's a good analogy right there. Well, okay, so speaking of Reigns, as we've talked about, he tested positive for COVID.
Right.
And he's obviously going to be off. Now, this is weird. They must have knew this, maybe when they pulled him from the house show in Florida, but they never said anything. We went the whole week coming into the day one show like the match was still going to happen. And maybe he was asymptomatic and they kept testing him because remember, Rollins was positive on Christmas, yet Rollins wrestled last night. So maybe Saturday morning, Reigns did not test negative, so then they had to make the change. So before we talk about the alternate plans, thoughts on Roman Reigns having COVID?
His immune system is not the best. He definitely has a medical history. Him getting COVID is a very serious matter. I'm sure he'll be out, not just the quarantine of 5 days to 10 days, but I think he'll be out a little longer.
A couple weeks for sure, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, there's a pandemic going on in my place of business, and 10 COVID cases in 2 days. I am actually doing testing. That's serious. And for them to put it on me, say, Vito, we need you to do testing. That's a pretty heavy duty thing. And you have a line of people to test, take temperatures, and, do this rapid testing. It's not a joke. And you're knocking people out of the box, especially when you're a pro athlete or, you're in there, your immune system. You could be, Roman Reigns has been running. Maybe he could have been run down because of all the stuff he's been doing.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks about that your body does take a beating and you do get run down. So you're susceptible to get something.
Well, what's weird is they recently said they're going to stop testing, right? Now, look at the landscape of COVID right now in sports. Everybody, I mean, it's all over. Like
everywhere.
this Omicron is getting it. Everybody's going to get it, whether they know it or not. A lot of people asymptomatic or just cold-like symptoms, okay? But we're not going to talk about that. That's neither here nor there. But with Roman, I'm thinking, okay, is he going to go home? But there was as of right now, he's still the Universal Champion. That tells me that he's probably asymptomatic or doing pretty good, and they're just waiting for him to test negative, and he's going to go back on the road. Again, this is the guy that beat remission of leukemia in record time. Outside of having that issue his life, he's got the best doctors because he blew through that, got back in the business relatively quickly. So there's good people, great people, doctors, whatever, looking after him. And so I'm going to kind of still have that positive vibe that this guy's going to wreck through all of that and he'll be back because they didn't strip him. They didn't put someone else in there with Brock for the Universal title.
But you don't strip somebody because they're sick.
No, but I'm saying though, if Roman was going home or if he was really bad with this, something would have happened, and he's still the champion. So that tells me, that's my clue, that my gut tells me he's going to be fine and he'll be back in a couple of weeks. We'll see.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat said that Jessica and I have tested positive this week of COVID. Listen, guys, take care of yourselves. Yeah, take care of yourselves. I hope you get better. Listen to your doctor. Start doing better, especially when you're in the cold weather and you're in the, you're not in a good way. Take care of yourselves, people. It's a serious thing. Look out for yourselves, and do what they say.
Now, the big topic is you said Reigns was going to lose the Universal title to Brock. Obviously, that couldn't happen at this point. So what WWE did is they put Brock Lesnar into the WWE Fatal 4-Way match to make it a 5-way match where Big E was the champion going in. And I think Lashley was in the match. Rollins was in the match. Kevin Owens was in the match. And Brock Lesnar became the WWE champion. And I think he's now a 9-time champion between all the major titles he's had in WWE. So here you have it on the 2nd of January. He is the one main champion now. And Roman Reigns is still the other. Vito, take it away.
They were. My gut feeling is they were going to put the title on Brock, and they were going to go to WrestleMania, But being that they had to do an audible, they took the title off Big E. Now, was Big E's title run good, bad, or indifferent? I'd say it didn't push the needle. He had a lot of good things to say, but as far as me personally, I never thought he was a world championship material. I always thought he was a group guy and was good with the New Day. When they tried to push him as a single before, he didn't cut it. They really didn't have a lot of options, but he was a good option to try it this time and give him a chance. I just didn't see him moving the needle enough for them to keep it on him. But it happened to Bobby Lashley. It happened to Big E. It happened to The Miz, a one-day transition champion. The best guy in the company is Brock Lesnar. That's the draw. That's where the championship should be. Now,
also, I want to throw this in there. They did an injury angle with Drew McIntyre, who I don't know how long he's going to be out, but I think he has some issues that he needs to rest up. So Drew's kind of out of the picture right now.
Yeah, but I didn't even Drew McIntyre. Once they exposed him as champion, that was it. He's done. And he's lost. Bobby Lashley has lost every match since he lost the title. You're going to see Big E go on a losing streak after dropping the title. That's just the way they do the former champions.
So what's going to happen now that the two titles, and again, this might not have been planned, but this is where we're at. Brock Lesnar is the WWE champion. Roman Reigns is the Universal champion. We have Royal Rumble coming up. We have a Saudi Arabia show coming up, and then WrestleMania. Does Bobby Lashley get in the mix with Brock to kill some time? I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities here.
All those guys who were in that match all have title matches coming against Brock Lesnar. So
To kill time? To kill the time?
Yeah, to kill time. So now you talk about card fillers and you talk about a new way to go with things. They just put 2 months worth of matches together for Brock Lesnar. He will go through everybody until gives Reigns time to get better and get back on track.
Are they going to do whether title for title? I mean, do you think that because of this
audible? I think title for title, and that'll be a draw. The other way, and now you have Raw versus SmackDown, WrestleMania. Who's going to take it all? And I think that's the way it's going to go.
And if they do that, once Roman's back and healthy, you might not have to use them every show, but you have both your top guys available potentially to show up on Raw and SmackDown, which Raw really, SmackDown's holding its own because it's on network TV on Fox, but Raw could really use a boost. So maybe they lucked into, I'm not going to say COVID, lucked into, I'm not making COVID look like it needed to happen because I don't want Roman to be sick, but this is not a bad thing. I know some fans get all pissy, but let's be honest, WrestleMania season and your two top guys are your main champions.
I'm going to say this. I would like to commend Big E, and I would like to say you did a good job as champion. And you know what? He made the championship worthy. You know why? Because he lost it himself. And he put Brock Lesnar over in the middle. And that's what a champion does. When you give it up yourself.
Considering the circumstances, Vito, because the rumors had him keeping the title had Roman and Brock happened. Big E could still be the champion today, yet he put Lesnar over because of the whole situation.
And I thought that was a great thing. That's the first thing I said. I said, now that's a true professional. That's the way to do business. Big E, I'm very proud of you. That was a good job you did.
Yep. That is a good job. And, as long as he stays in the upper mid card and has, is entertaining, right? I mean, that's kind of what the New Day has always been. And, hey, it is what it is, Vito. All right. Anything in closing? What's on Vito's mind? If not, we'll close the show.
Well, here's the good stuff. I'm putting my stuff out there to go back to wrestling. There have been a lot of people on TikTok asking if I'm going in the Royal Rumble. I'm available. And if I showed up on the Royal Rumble, boy, would wrestling turn crazy. Boy, I tell you, that would be something. So the goal for this year is to get back on TV, either at the WWE, AEW, NWA, MLP.
I want you in AEW because that will give me a reason to watch it.
I think that if Big Vito took the dress to the AEW, talking about a whole new situation, and I think a whole new bunch of viewers, and there's interest, and I think it would be something that would revolutionize wrestling. If they did it the right way, we could have something special.
And Noel said, Vito, you have a viral video on TikTok, almost 100,000 views.
And that's something that Tony Khan and Vince McMahon need to look at, 100,000 views, because I came back to wrestling. And the reason is my wife is better and I'm able to go to wrestle with a clear head.
Yep.
So
I mean, heck, before this return, just past month, what was the only thing you did? You came up with me, and you were kind of like doing like promo manager stuff, and you sweep me off the apron. But now you're back.
Now I'm back, and for those who don't know, I'm going to the '80s WrestleCon, and I earned a Lifetime Achievement Award. So I'll be wrestling on the main event May 7th with Tommy Fierro, Bill Apter. I have an interview with Bill Apter this week that's going to go viral as well. So I have a lot of things lined up. I've been kicking it in the gym. Everything is looking good. So it's going to be a very good year for Big Vito and everybody associated. I just want to thank everybody for being behind me. Thank the almost 100,000 people on TikTok for liking the video. May 7th, that's the ISPW. And you know who I'm going to fight that day?
Who's that?
The FBI explodes. It's me against Nunzio.
Oh, that's money.
That's money.
I was gonna say Nia Jax, but I don't think she's gonna do indies.
You know, Nia Jax, you know
That
what?
would be a TikTok video for
That
you.
would be a TikTok video. We had a TikTok showdown with Nia Jax. I would love to do that. I would love to do that. Nia Jax, if you are out there listening, I would love to go match TikTok dances with you.
Hell, that would be a hell of an intergender match. I'd love to see.
I think so. All right, Virtue, you can close the show.
All right, people. Be sure to follow Vito on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. Follow me if you want at NoDQ_Virtue. But this has been Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And be sure to check out Patreon.com/BigVMafia. For Big Vito, I am Virtue. This has been Getting Color, and we will see you again next time.